Before the anger and the pain, Marcia and Julian were an inseparable pair. To understand the storm between them today, we have to go back. Back to the moment everything started. Back to the day Marcia first saw him, the stranger who made her heart lose its rhythm.
Marcia looked closer and noticed that the student had a build somewhere between a runner and a swimmer with sandy brown hair. Ah, that's the sixth one today. Do they think avoiding eye contact makes them invisible? Marcia thought to herself with a cheerful chuckle. What? What's up? The student beside her asked excitedly. Hold this, June. Marcia replied, handing her water bottle to the student who had just spoken. June took the bottle and followed Marcia's gaze. She gave a small, knowing smile. Get him, Tiger, she exclaimed, slapping Marcia lightly on the shoulder as they both focused on the runner. Marcia jumped in front of the student. Hello, how are you? We're getting new people to join the wine tasting club. Would you be interested? She remarked cheerfully, sticking a flyer under his nose. Turning his head away, he walked past Marcia without saying a word. Hey, hold on! Marcia called out lightly, grabbing the runner's arm as he walked past. Wow, that's some muscle he's got under there. You wouldn't know just by looking. The runner half turned sharply and raised his gaze to meet hers. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. That was too much. Sorry, that was wrong of me. Marcia, stunned by the expression on his face, hurriedly let go of his arm, apologizing immediately. She breathed, her words suddenly coming fast, her breath catching, and not from the short run. She had been breathing just fine when their conversation started. I just wanted to, she stammered, trying to find the words to say, subconsciously rubbing her hands against her slim thigh, as if trying to wipe dirt off them, to apologize for touching the runner with unclean hands. More than his expression, the intensity of his gaze had shaken her to the core. The sudden and unexpectedly light blue eyes that seemed to look right through her hit her first. Then the strong brow, aquiline nose, strong jaw, and sharp cheekbones set with lips that looked like they need to be kissed, all hit her at once. As she fumbled for words, the runner's frame softened and he turned fully to face her. What is it? He asked, looking away from Marcia, staring over her shoulder. Wine tasting, club, would you? She blurted out, stumbling over her words. He snatched the flyer from her and walked away. Marcia exhaled, hunching over, placing her hands on her knees, her heart racing. Whoa, what was that? What the hell was that? She exclaimed, to no one in particular, patting her chest, attempting to calm her racing heart. Hey, Marcia! Flyers! Hurry up! Steve, the president of the wine tasting club, called across the lawn. Marcia straightened up and rushed back to the table where the rest of her club members were. What happened? June asked, her brow furrowed, as she handed out flyers beside Marcia. Marcia glanced down at her, smiled slightly, and shook her head gently, giving no reply. She gazed back up at the passing crowds, smiling and passing out flyers. I wonder if he'll come to the semester opening event this evening. June, who had watched the whole exchange from a distance, shook her head as well, her eyes dancing. The evening of that day, the Wine Tasting Club's semester opening event is in full swing, attracting a lively crowd. The garden where the event was being held was tastefully decorated with white and yellow party lights and round cocktail tables scattered throughout, allowing guests to chat and sip wine for a bit before moving to another table or strolling through the garden. At the back of the venue was a long table with at least 30 different types of wines from around the world, a few beers available for any heathens who might have made it into the venue. The wine table was manned by the executives of the wine tasting club, who gave brief histories of the wines presented and explained the art of wine tasting to the guests who came for a drink or refill, giving brief side glances to heathens who picked up the beers instead. Soft classical music played in the background, a popular tune by Sebastian Bach, and many people were standing in groups or mingling around, creating a nice atmosphere. The runner entered the venue, scanning the room from the entryway. He made his way inside, moving in a quiet, unobtrusive fashion, avoiding all groups and any eye contact. Many people don't even notice as he walked past them. His gaze landed on a group of wine-tasting club members, a group of people with the same gold-colored badges pinned on their chests, his eyes resting on one person, Marcia, talking and smiling with the group. She had seen him from the moment he entered the garden, having been on alert, hoping he would show, but she was also working and didn't want to appear too interested in some random hottie. He casually glanced around the garden, but his gaze kept coming back to her. Later, he had told her that he had been drawn to her black hair blowing softly in the evening breeze, her warm brown eyes, and the soothing sound of her voice, which he could hear from a distance. Not the words, but the vibrations of the sounds, soft and inviting. She had flushed so deeply that day, he had to stop talking. As she chatted with her friends, she suddenly noticed June's voice. Hi, yes, welcome. Do you need help with anything? I can show you around. Nervously speaking to someone, a stark contrast to June's usual boisterous and energetic tone. She and the other two club members she was standing with turned toward June's voice and clearly understood why June sounded so strange. Ah, it's him, Marcia thought as she excused herself from the others and started to walk toward the runner, finally having a reason to pull away from her colleagues. I'm here for this, the runner said, showing June the flyer, his eyes flicking around. Oh, yes, of course. We have the wines all set up at the long table over there, June replied, gesturing towards the executives at the inner part of the garden. The runner lifted his gaze to follow June's hand, and after a half heartbeat of assessing the wine dispensing table, he turned to move in the opposite direction. As he glanced away from the wine table, he saw Marcia heading towards him, and immediately turned in the direction June indicated, walking off as if escaping something unpleasant. Marcia stopped, watching him walk away, feeling extremely embarrassed. She returned to the two friends she had been standing with earlier and continued talking with them as she fought down the heat in her belly.
Marcia didn't know his name. She didn't know his story. She didn't know that the tall, warm-eyed runner who could barely meet her gaze would one day change her life forever. What happens next is where their real beginning unfolds, the moment their two worlds collide. In episode 4, the spark becomes impossible to ignore.
This is Magenta Rose Confessions, where love, lies, and loss intertwine. Stay a while. There are more shadows to uncover.